right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Ignite Initiative. I have a gym owner on, a great friend, Josh Gibson of Auburn Hills, Michigan, of Athletic Preparation Gym. What's going on, Josh?
That's a mouthful. I want you to say that 5 times
Yeah,
fast, right?
that was a little long. That was a little long.
That is. I try to pick a cool acronym, make it short like A prep, but like, of course nobody knows like context or stuff like that. So
A
it's
prep.
like
Okay,
a,
I like that. I like that.
but yeah. So thanks for having the chance to chat. And obviously I love hanging out with you. I feel like we just naturally vibe. So let's get into this.
Yeah, of course. And we've known each other over the years, just being in different masterminds in the gym industry. Trying to, and we're big on the CRM side of the gyms, and trying to operate your gym efficiently. So we definitely vibe there, and it's really cool. And so you're coming up on about 10 years now, being a gym owner. So why did you start, Josh? And how did that first come about? What made you give you that drive, basically?
To want to have my own facility and start my own business.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like ego, right? I think I have that Hermosi quote. I forget it off the top of my head, but he talks about like, typical like business owners or entrepreneurs. Like one, they're like egotistical, meaning like I can do it better than you, but not like in a bad way. But like that was
Yes.
definitely a thing of mine.
Yeah.
Two, it's like someone else defining your worth, if you will, right? Of like how, your cap on how much money you can potentially make or your schedule. So I think those are honestly the biggest two factors. Like I just wanted more freedom and flexibility and do something that I'm passionate about and I guess be able to control your own destiny if you want. Like I want the ball in my hands if I, for the final shot type of thing. So,
For sure, for sure. But why the gym business out of all
oh,
businesses? Probably one of the toughest ones to be successful in. So what got you into this, into the training role?
that's I just always loved training. I walked on for football, right? So like I feel like, relatively didn't play that much in high school and stuff like that, but I was mentally determined. I was like, hey, I want to play college football. So I walked on, I
Cool.
went to Western Michigan. That only lasted about a year. But anyways, so I guess I always had that drive of training of like that, underdog, never good enough type of mentality. And so then I
Yeah.
was like, well, I need to train my face off. So I just loved training to get to that point. And then from there, you know, as far as training goes, like I just kind of jumped into it and forced to learn a lot. I became very good at the technical side. And then that's like kind of all you know, if you will. I knew nothing about the business side, but I was like, hey, like saying, I'll figure it out. I'm stubborn and keep slamming my head into the wall until I get this right.
Yeah. No, that's great. And then here you are 10 years later. So that's just a testament to your, hard work and determination. But Josh, so how did you start out though? Was it like, did you train out of somebody else's facility? Did you get your own facility at first, or how did the story unfold?
To the quickly led me to my me opening my own facility is there's been definitely a couple of years of first like getting hired at a commercial gym like Lifetime Fitness,
Got
LA
it.
Fitness, where you're doing like I remember doing $6 sessions for 30 minutes at like or LA Fitness, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So straight out of college, just we to look forward to. So I went from there and I knew that like that setting was never my realm, if you will.
Yeah.
So on the corporate, fitness side, I went to an office job because I'm like, I can't live like this, right? Can't make
Yeah.
money.
Of
And
course.
then two, like, so of course, once you're in the office setting, I was like, I hate my life, go back to training. And then I worked for another small private facility, actually two of them in the area
Cool.
personally. And then back to that ego thing that kind of got me fired of like, I can do this better, right? I can do this, or I would do it this way type of thing. And
Yeah.
then, so the all in all, to get straight to the point of how I actually started my facility is one, kind of experienced and made mistakes on someone else's dime first. And then two, I got to the point where it was actually the time to bet on myself. So thankfully, I've literally walked into the sports dome facility. They didn't have any trainers there. I literally walked in with a handshake deal, the owner and the son. And I was like, hey, do you guys have training here? And they're like, no. But I was like, obviously, they have the idea of clients I want of like soccer and families and stuff like that. And so I was like, well,
Perfect.
hey, can I start training? And then they're like, yeah. And I was like, well, I can't really pay you that much rent. And then, but I was like, when I do get clients, I'll start paying you. And I literally started under the stairs inside their facility right before winter, like paying them $50 a month and then kind of scaled it up.
Nice. So you just like asked the question and just made it happen, basically. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So there wasn't a lot of pressure on you, so thankful for them to allow you
Yeah.
to do that. The beginning,
Extremely thankful.
obviously there's pressure, but not for the rent side. There's no pressure.
Yeah. I
So
mean, I had to still provide for your family. Like, I'm a loser type of thing.
yeah, yeah. Buy
And
equipment and all that stuff, or no? Did you buy equipment and all that stuff too, or no? Or is that
Yeah,
kind of
so sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm excited. I want to
in
hear your side too, honestly. But yeah, so I kind of like had that plan ahead of time. So like I started saving money as I was working for somebody else, and I bought
Okay,
a squat rack, I bought a bar, like started making those investments back into the business that I didn't even have yet, right? Because I knew that's where I
yes,
wanted to go.
gotcha.
So I did buy a squat rack and I put it inside of like a physical therapy office for a little bit, and then kind of had just phased out like gradually, step by step, versus making a giant jump, if you will. That's been my process.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And you know, what did you learn? You know, being at the even LA Fitness or the Lifetime. Like, I know it's not your jam, but it's not really our jam, right? In the private sector. But like, what did you learn there? And what did you learn at the private sector gyms before you became, you know, your own boss? Before that
Uh,
happened.
Well, in respect to LA fitness, I didn't learn anything like training wise, or I more so knew what I don't want. And I was like, I don't want that. Right.
Hmm.
Sometimes you know
Hmm.
what you don't want. But from the Lifetime Fitness, they do a great job on like the onboarding of sales training and understanding part of that. And I had that trainer mentality of like, I don't want to sell, I don't want to do none of that. Like it's icky, right? But then again, that's just your own personal stuff as you learn to learn over the years. But they do a great job of yeah, of teaching you sales. Granted, I still sucked at it, but at the same time, I was like, I remember something clicked in my head because the way that they do it, like they'll do like a sales and service. I'm sure you're probably familiar, but like, let's say a session costs $100. Like somebody could
Yeah.
sell me because I was a new trainer, so their goal is to fill. So this person would get 70% of my session, right, or 60%, whatever it is, just for giving me a client, so they could make money and not actually train the session. And then
Yeah.
I'm here servicing it for 30%, right? And so I'm making $30, they made 70, and then still in my head I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like I can just sell a lot, right? And then
Yeah.
but so anyways, like the stuff like that has still been like saying I've been aware of and
That's
conscious of like how to leverage your time and
Yeah, that's a good point. Like the sales strategy at the corporate gyms, like, there's big investors and big time people behind these companies. So they obviously put a big, effort and focus on the sales process there. So why not grab that, right? And then what about in the private sector gyms you were working at? What did you learn there that carried over? Obviously, probably a little bit more, but if anything,
yes, from the private sector, I just more so liked like there's a relatively, I guess, yeah, or like first movers type of facility that like I worked at that trained athletes, and I saw it and I was like, wow, this is cool. This is what I want to do, right? So more so
yeah,
just being like jumping into that and being able to step in and train the clients that you want to train, right? Like athletes, right? And all that cool stuff. And so I don't feel like I learned too much from like their training side, because like I feel like when I came in, like he was still developing his philosophy, if you will, but he did a
yeah,
good job of just getting those clients. And I feel like when I came in, I actually complimented, and I was kind of more the technical side of training that would help him, in hindsight
got it,
now.
got it.
So anyways, back to that thing, I was like, well, I could do this, that ego kicking back in, if you will. And then
And that's it. That's awesome. And then, all right, so you're in there in the facility, not paying much rent yet, but I'm sure it's over your head. Like, you gotta start paying this guy some rent, start getting some client base, and providing for your family, like you said. So, what steps did you take to start growing the business from zero to where you're at now? It's incredible. So, what happened along the way to get you here?
man, this is amazing questions and kind of trip down memory. I don't know if I'd like be able to recreate what I did essentially,
I don't
like
think so either myself. I know what you're saying. I know.
I was like, how did I get here? So you got to pinch yourself sometimes. You're like, man. Um,
Yeah,
but I do remember very vividly, this is when Facebook ads were first coming out. And there was a guy, I don't even know if he's still around, but he was talking about how hey, Facebook's ads get you clients type of thing. I don't know if it was like fitness niche oriented at that time. It was just like throw stuff out there, right? But he said it was like a bold claim. It was like, hey, I'll get you, you pay me $1,000, or I'll get you like 10,000, I'll get you whatever, 10 clients if you pay me $1,000. And I was like, shoot, if you get me 5 clients, I'll give you like $1,000, right? So I kind of like flipped it to put it back on him for every reason. I was like, you
yeah,
basically pony up first, and then as long as if you deliver the results, then I'll give you money type of thing. And so I remember he ran some Facebook ads for me, and like that actually ended up working out. So and then from there, it's just a little bit of referrals. And again, I really don't have a exact thing of like how I just being
just
stubborn and
kept
getting
just kept grinding,
clients.
just kept grinding and going through it. And that was the golden era of Facebook ads too. I was like, when was that, Josh? What year was that?
Probably like 2013-ish or 15,
Yeah,
2013 to 15 in
yeah.
there.
You still get like literally like dollar leads that were like good quality leads. Actually know what they opted in for. So that's really cool. I definitely missed that and missed those times for sure. But yeah, but like ads are one thing. Getting people to do gym is one thing. Obviously, they have to believe and trust in your product. So how did you develop your product over the years? You know, training athletes and you are doing adults too now, correct? So how did that evolve?
Yeah, so my niche was definitely athletes first and foremost. And then thinking back though, it started with the close proximity. So my mother-in-law started training with me. So I did
Okay.
kind of like start training the adults and my sister-in-law, those people close to you, like train them for like super cheap or for almost free. And then
Yeah.
that led to a referral of her coworker.
Spread the
Um,
word.
so I kind of did go like adult to athlete to like adult and athlete, kind of back and forth. So it's like a ebb and flow a little bit for myself, thinking back
Yeah.
now. Um, and then I think the strongest thing though is like honestly, there was something that Joe and them from the Strength Con podcast that Zach Avanesh said. He's like, you got to be yourself. I just happened to see this clip the other day, but and I was like, oh shoot, as he was saying that, I was like, that's exactly like your superpower almost. Like I'm just authentically being myself. Like I'm casual. I'll swear on the gym floor sometimes. Like I don't know, I'm just like
It is what it
genuinely
is.
me, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
hey, if you don't like it, that's cool. Here's the door. But like, so I feel like, and I'm fun and engaging. I just try to be myself and make the best hour of your day for your clients is like I'm sure every gym does. But then, but yeah, just have fun along the way and let your personality kind of shine.
Yeah, and I think it's important you said that because I think that the owner, like their personality, almost creates the culture, right? Your personality, your effort almost creates the culture. So has that been a strong point for you guys, your culture of the gym and the bonding between the members and you guys and the coaches?
Yes and no. Like sometimes I was
Okay.
like just trying to point the finger at myself first. So like as
Yeah.
far as the athletes or like the adults do come sometimes, like I'll get very, very frustrated like with myself, with them, very candidly. And like if they come in and they're just like robotic and like they don't know what to do, I'm like, shoot, what can I do to make them easier? But I'm like, hey, you guys, foam roll or whatever when you first come in, or even the athletes, like they'll stand up against the wall and like I understand they're younger kids and then but if they've been here for a minute, it's like they just come in and stand and don't do anything until they're like programmed. And that drives me nuts personally. So
Yeah.
so back to that culture, it's like that's not the culture that I want to create personally. I want
Yeah.
people to come in, they should be jumping around, having fun, high-fiving, like you know what I mean? Like sh hanging out with each other, but like they're so like isolated and cliquey with these youth athletes sometimes. But at the same time, it's like when I do get the people that I love to train that are like that just kind of get it, like they get it, come in and they like that they operate as themselves normally like I would want them to. So I'm like, is it the individual at the end of the day? Is it me or is it just like is it them, right? And that's just their personality type of thing.
Yeah, no,
So
and it's tough to balance for sure. So Josh, you're in this facility and you're growing your business. When did you first like start seeking out business coaches for this, and then how did you first hear about it? Because obviously that's kind of how I met you. So I know you're like like me, have different business coaches throughout the years. So how'd that first start?
that's a great one. Like, well, back to that first ad, I remember trying to flip it on that guy to get some clients because I was like, "Oh, it was the advertising thing. How does this work? That sounds cool. People will come to you through Facebook, right? That's what I want."
Yeah,
Um, and then, just struggling for a long time, just like getting by type of thing. No systems in place, no like, business knowledge and acumen. And something that was pivotal for me is like I was probably making $6,000 to $8,000 a month at this
yeah,
time, and I signed up for Gym Launch with Hormozy with his whole free 6 week challenge type of thing as a solo gym. And I
hmm
think that upfront cost was like 12 grand. So I was like, well, in my head, it's very stupid in hindsight, right? But like I was willing to take that risk. I was like, well, I can go 3 months without pay type of thing if I had to, right? To pay these guys
yeah,
back.
yeah.
And then, but like the risk and reward and, it was worth it. And granted, like back to like that training, like said principle, like pull up my Stripe account, but like that month or like the month after or two, I signed up from Gym Launch was like the highest month of revenue I ever had, which was like $11,000, right? So like it did pay for itself, right? Like the investment in yourself, your most
Yeah.
important asset. So for me, that was I just remember going through that training, the sales training, and I was like stuff started just clicking, you know what I mean? Like you start like consuming it all in and buying in, of course, and like there's so much I don't know, and this is really cool too to me.
It's true, and honestly, I went through that program as well. And like you're right though. It made me more curious about business too. It really did. So like even we definitely made our money back on it for sure. But even more importantly, maybe more curious about it, maybe more like wanting to learn about business more and the gym business side of it. And I kind of just fell in love with that side. Um, but but yeah, man, like I think it's super important to always have a coach. And I know you've been in the BOS as well. Like, how important do you think it is to have a business coach, even just to hold you accountable, check in on you and things like that? Like, how high of a value do you hold that?
I think it's tremendous, like having, especially being solo myself still, like I know you have a team and stuff where it's like,
Yeah,
but still, I really appreciate a different set of eyes because sometimes I'm just maxed out with capacity and like I'm still doing everything all the time. So having somebody else's like perspective on these problems, or again, someone to even talk to, as simple as that sounds, of like hashing through these problems that because a lot of my friends aren't well, most of them are now type of thing or handful, but on a day-to-day basis when I interact with family, like they're not business owners, they don't understand the mindset, they don't understand the struggle or the thoughts or like that growth more mindset. They're relatively, fixed per se.
yeah,
At least that's hard to engage for me in some of those conversations. So, anyways, like having somebody like-minded and all that stuff in your corner and knowing and understanding and relatable is kind of like a obviously invaluable skill. What has your been experience with that?
yeah. I mean, same here. It's invaluable, and not only the actual like coach that's in charge of you. It's more about the group around you as well. I think like the group that they bring, their culture that they bring is important. I think it's almost like for me like a therapist too, because like you said, like these people can relate to you more than anybody else can. So that's what
Mhm.
I love about it personally. Um, but yeah, Josh. So you're about 10 years into business. What's next for you? Like, what are you trying to do next? Just keep on growing this business, maxing it out. Like, what's next in your mind?
Well, I always like the phrase of being content but never complacent. So, like,
Yeah,
thankfully, where I'm at right now is like I'm very content. Like, meaning you make enough money, but at the same time, I
yeah,
still don't want to do everything and be like the bottleneck of the business. So, I definitely
yeah.
still have a lot to grow and figure out and develop. So that's where systems come in place. And
Hmm.
working with you guys, honestly, has been a huge thing with Ignite because being a solo person is like I feel like that's the biggest thing I need help with is some of the operational load, right? So sometimes I know what I would need to do, but I might not have the technical skills or it might take me too long to implement it. So
Yeah,
personally, I feel like that's if you're like in a solo situation, like definitely need some sort of mindset with that. So that was probably one of the best things I did with the best year and the back to that coaching with like signing up for Business of Strength with those guys, which I love and appreciate, is like that's how I ended up obviously here with you, which again, that one small step led to the step that I didn't know
yeah.
I was going to
Keeps
get
on,
to. But then
keeps
that's
on
just like
going.
adding those bricks in the wall or, bridges in the across the, to fill the gap per se.
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's because same with me. Like everything that I've done in the gym industry, just kind of one thing led to another, and just keeps on going. Right. That's just
Yeah.
kind of how it is. Josh, if you could tell your younger self something about 10 years ago, or somebody new starting out in the industry, what's like the biggest piece of advice you would give to be successful in this industry? It's a tough question.
Biggest it is, but like the biggest thing, like just talking with you and obviously just reflecting back with all these great questions that you're asking is staying curious and then
Yeah.
also like just acting out on that faith of like, betting on yourself. You know what I mean? So stay curious because like you're saying, it's like, oh, how do they do that? Or like, you don't want to get swindled with some of these things like whether it's like ads or agencies or whatever, all these big promises that marketing, once you start understanding marketing too, you start seeing through like the BS, if you will, with
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
Facebook ads. But I
Yeah.
remember like not knowing anything and I'm like, how the heck do they do that? So staying curious. And then of course too, like it is money at the end of the day. And I know it's cool and all, but like I don't know, it's just money. So it's like I want the skills, I want the assets, continue investing in yourself and like being curious and yeah, just like actually, yeah, like you're saying, putting your money where your mouth is and go learn for some other people, right? Speed up
Yeah,
that
like,
learning curve.
yeah. I mean, the money will come later, right? Like you don't have to always focus on the money, right? Like when you focus on the money too much, I feel like you're not getting anywhere, right? Just focus on your passion, focus on your craft, try to improve yourself, and everything else is going to come, if you're doing a good job with it.
Yeah. And of course, being like a good person, right? Like all the time, like, and all that stuff will come back as we already know and have experienced now ourselves.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. Josh, if any of the listeners want to reach out to you, what's the best way to find you?
Simply athletic preparation. And so it's on, the Instagram, website, all that other stuff. So that's how you do it.
All right, cool. Well, Josh, I appreciate you coming on. I wish you the best of luck in the future, and we'll talk soon. Of
Likewise, appreciate it, Mike. And yeah, I'll be seeing you, my friend.
course.